Hello dear students, today I start with one of the very important chapter of your financial accounting, a common chapter for TYBCOM as well as TYBAF. The name of the chapter, Internal Reconstruction, alternate name also called as capital reduction. Internal reconstruction or capital reduction. One of my favorite chapters as far as the syllabus is concerned. Now before I start the, बहुत सारे students जो तुम्हारे friends है, they will go to some other classes or maybe they must have studied in some different college. The normal psychology is what? अरे यार इंटरनल रिकंस्ट्रक्शन कुछ समझ में नहीं आया यार, तेरे को समझ में आया क्या, तेरे उधर कराया क्या, बोलते नहीं, देन स्टूडेंट ना unnecessary get stressed due to the negative talks of other students. देखना ये होएगा ही, बहुत टफ है, सुना बहुत टफ है, दिमाग से निकाल दो, इसको इजी बनाना मेरा काम है. दिस इज सच अ इंटरेस्टिंग चैप्टर दैट इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड ना कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, व्हाट इज इंटरनल रिकंस्ट्रक्शन, वो मैं समझाता हूँ थोड़ी देर में, बट इसको कैसे अप्रोच करने का, इफ यू गेट दैट ना, you will find it very interesting. My past experiences, there are students who didn't like accounts, but they have liked this chapter and even got full marks. They have done the sum properly as far as this particular chapter is concerned. So if somebody tells you ना ये टफ है, सीधा बोल देना, देख भाई तेरे को टफ लगा रहेगा, मेरे सर ने कराया, मेरे सर कराएंगे, मेरा क्लास में हो जाने दे, उसके बाद मैं तेरे को सिखाऊंगा. चैलेंज बोलता हूँ, चैलेंज करता हूँ, go and tell them and you will be able to do that. But understand the concept, understand the logic, understand the explanation what I am giving you all. रट्टा नहीं मारना, don't try to mug up करोगे, मैंने FYJC के पहले दिन ही बोला हुआ है, you will never understand account. So do it logically, understand my explanation, and I guarantee you are going to find it very simple. Okay, so don't worry, relax and understand for the next 45 minutes or 1 hour, जितना भी time लगता है. Get the concept properly, and I'm sure even if you have 60-70% liking for accounts now, you are going to love this chapter. Even 50% liking, you'll like this very much. Understand the concept. So as I've always done, first let's understand the meaning of the name of the chapter, internal reconstruction or capital reduction. Let's see the meaning. Okay, क्या नाम है चैप्टर का? Internal reconstruction. Now when I say internal means within the company. When I say internal means within the company. And when I say reconstruction means making the changes. Internal, within the company, and when I say reconstruction means making changes. So the meaning of the name of the chapter, internal reconstruction, means making changes within the company. Making changes within the company. वो change कैसे करना है, that we will see in some time. Again I'll repeat, meaning of the name of the chapter, internal reconstruction, means making changes within the company. क्या change करना है, कैसे करना है, we will see now. Okay, alternate name capital reduction means reducing the capital. Capital कैसे reduce करना है? Let me first explain you the concept, and then you will understand that both the words are correlated. As I told you, another alternate name of internal reconstruction is capital reduction. Okay, now सबसे पहले इंटरनल रिकंस्ट्रक्शन करना क्यों है? What forces the company to go for internal reconstruction? Understand one thing. The process of internal reconstruction. The process of internal reconstruction comes into picture when the financial position of the company is not good. The process of internal reconstruction comes into picture when the financial performance of the company is not good. Company is going into losses. Company is going into losses. अगर proper steps नहीं लिया, अगर proper steps नहीं लिया, लॉस डे बाय डे बढ़ते जाएगा. अगर प्रॉपर स्टेप्स नहीं लिया, लॉस डे बाय डे बढ़ता जाएगा. सो इट्स बेटर टेक सम एक्शन एट दिस स्टेज, सो आगे जाके लॉसेस बढ़े नहीं. सो मेक सम चेंजेस विद इन द कंपनी. Make some changes make some changes within the company and recover your company from losses at this stage only after taking some steps. क्या steps लेना है? That we will see now. Got it? So in short, company losses में जा रहा है. Make some changes, take some steps and revive the company from losses. That is internal reconstruction. Got it? I'm just focusing on the basic thing as far as this particular session is concerned. Now guys, see, I have made a question. मैंने खुद का एक question बनाया to make the concept clear. Now see, this is the balance sheet. Okay. Right now, let's see one main item. If you see liability side पे equity share, capital, preference share, debentures, creditors. Asset side पे fixed assets, goodwill, investment, current assets, P&L. Profit and loss can be either on the liability side or it can be on the asset side. Now tell me, on the basis of what you have studied over a period of years, मतलब last 5 years, FYGC से लेकर SY तक, there is one item in the balance sheet. There is one item in this balance sheet which gives you a strong indication. There is one item in this balance sheet which gives you a strong indication that the company is going into losses. There is one item in this balance sheet which gives you a strong signal indication that this company is going into losses. Which is that item? Can you tell me? That item is profit and loss. अगर ये प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस लायबिलिटी में होता ना, it would be a part of reserves. Profit and loss appearing on the liability side means company has accumulated reserves. Profit and loss on the liability side means company has accumulated reserves, and profit and loss on the asset side means company is going into losses. This P&L on the asset side means there are accumulated losses to the extent of 1,80,000. Whenever P&L is there on the asset side, it is an indication that your company is into losses. Total assets and liabilities 11 लाख है, उसमें से accumulated loss of 1,80,000. तुम्हें सिग्नल मिल गया है. Now take some steps and see to it that this 1,80,000 का loss gets wiped off. 1,80,000 का loss को हमें eliminate करना है, wipe off करना है. So understand proper words. Understand the words properly. What I am telling you. बीच बीच में I'll keep on giving strong signals also from the words what I speak. So हमें ये करना है, steps लेना है जहां ये 180 निकल जाए. This 1,80,000 का profit loss on the asset side should be eliminated. So how to eliminate that? We will take steps, and after taking the steps, this 180 will get wiped off. So now the question is क्या step लेना है? Now the question is क्या step लेना है? What is the alternate name of this chapter? Capital reduction. Capital को reduce करना है. कैसे करेंगे? See here. Liability में equity, share capital, preference, debentures, creditors. Why we put it on the liability side? आगे जाके इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर्स को 5 लाख पे करना है व्हेन द कंपनी क्लोजेस. प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को 3 लाख पे करना है व्हेन द टाइम फॉर रिडम्पशन कम्स. डिबेंचर्स को 2 लाख रीपे करना है व्हेन द टाइम फॉर रीपेमेंट कम्स. क्रेडिटर्स को 1 लाख रुपीस पे करना है. दीज आर माय लायबिलिटीज. नाउ सी all these 4 stakeholders. Stakeholder means people have some or the other interest in the company. All these stakeholders know that company is going into losses. So what we will do, I have kept the name, hypothetical name ABC Limited. ABC Limited will approach all of them. They will tell, देखो भाई, इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर्स को बोलेंगे हमें आपको 5 लाख देना है, कंपनी का सिचुएशन अच्छा नहीं है, प्लीज कॉम्प्रोमाइज, ये 5 लाख में से थोड़ा कम करो. इफ यू अग्री वी विल वर्क टुगेदर एंड आगे जाके प्रॉफिट्स आया तो वी विल अगेन गिव यू वॉट एवर यू आर रिड्यूसिंग. सो प्लीज रिड्यूस योर लायबिलिटी. सेम थिंग विल बी अप्रोच टू द प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स, सेम थिंग टू द डिबेंचर होल्डर्स एंड वी विल अप्रोच क्रेडिटर्स ऑल्सो फॉर द सेम. उन्हें अप्रोच करेंगे भाई तुम्हारा पैसा टेम्पररी थोड़ा कम कर दो तो आगे जाके हमें रिवाइवल हो जाएंगे तो वी विल पे यू बैक वॉट एवर यू आर सैक्रिफाइस. नाउ यू विल वंडर व्हाई दे विल अग्री. दे विल अग्री बिकॉज क्या होगा, लायबिलिटी तो क्रिएट हो गया. अगर कंपनी का लॉसेस और बढ़ते गया, इफ द अक्यूमुलेटेड लॉसेस ऑफ द कंपनी कीप्स ऑन इंक्रीजिंग, जो मिलने वाला है ना, जो मिलने वाला है वो भी नहीं मिलेगा, जो मिलने वाला है वो भी नहीं मिलेगा. इट्स बेटर एट दिस स्टेज कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो एंड लेट्स वर्क विद द कंपनी बाय cooperating in reducing the liability. That's why it is called as capital reduction. And let's revive the company, eliminate the losses and hope for a better future in the near coming years. That is the concept. Okay, now कैसे इसको करेंगे and how this P&L will reduce. Let's have a glance at the entire sum. बैलेंस शीट दिया एबीसी का, इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल 10 रुपए का एक है, टोटल अमाउंट 5 lakhs. प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल 100 रुपए का एक है, टोटल अमाउंट 3 lakhs. डिबेंचर्स टोटल अमाउंट इज 2 lakhs. क्रेडिटर्स 1 lakh. Fixed assets, goodwill, investment, current assets, P&L. There are more items, but I'm sticking to the basic to make your concept clear. Now see the adjustments. Equity shares to be reduced to 7 each. Preference shares to be reduced by 20 each. ये 2 है, ये बाय है, बहुत फर्क पड़ता है. Let me come to that point. Debenture holders agree to sacrifice 25% of their claims. Creditors agree to sacrifice 20,000. Pass journal entries and prepare revised balance sheet after considering above adjustments. Journal pass करेंगे and this is the balance sheet before reconstruction. We will make a revised balance sheet after reconstruction. Okay, so the first thing, format of journal. Now I'll just pause the video because I don't want to waste the time for preparing the journal in the video. So I'll just be back with preparation of the journal. Okay guys, coming back to the sum, I have made the journal and the balance sheet. We will see in some time. Balance sheet के लिए first I have to be ready with the journal. Okay, now see. Balance sheet का date is 31st March 24. I am assuming reconstruction takes place on 1st April 24. If the date is not given, we take the same date of the existing balance sheet. I am taking the assumption reconstruction is taking place on 1st April 24. Okay, now listen. Let's take one by one. Understand this journal entry very carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there'll be a fifth one. Total 5 journal entries. Understand very carefully, get the concept, and as I told you, you'll find it very very simple and interesting. And जो मैंने बोला था ना अपने फ्रेंड्स लोग को बोल देना, मैं तुमको सिखाऊंगा. ओके, चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट. Equity shares to be reduced to 7 each. 5 लाख का अमाउंट है, एक शेयर 10 रुपए का है. नाउ व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू टेल द शेयर होल्डर्स. देखो भाई, फेस वैल्यू 10 रुपया है. On the winding up liquidation, BCom students and BAF students both, you all have a chapter of liquidation also. You tell them, we are supposed to pay you 10 rupees per share. Situation is bad. Please cooperate. Make that 10 rupee as 7 rupees. So हमारा liability कम, losses will reduce. As I told you, they will agree because you are offering them 7 rupees instead of 10. If they don't agree, कल उठ के 5 भी नहीं मिलेगा, so they will cooperate. So equity shareholders have agreed 10 rupees को 7 rupees करने के लिए. तो इसमें क्या होगा, कंपनी का फायदा हो जाएगा 3 rupees का. Now how you will record? Let's go step by step. All journal entries will be recorded on the date on which this reconstruction is taking place, 1st April 24. Now listen. 10 रुपए का शेयर 7 रुपया होगा. So this existing liability of 10 rupees goes out. Liabilities always have a credit balance. Understand this for this full chapter. Also for the other chapters. Liabilities always have a credit balance. If I want to increase a liability, I will further credit. If I want to reduce, I will debit. वापस repeat कर रहा हूं. Liabilities always have a credit balance. If I want to increase, I will credit further. If I want to reduce, I will debit. Got it? अभी देखो, 10 रुपया का liability है, face value. I am making it 7. So 10 rupee वाला equity share goes off. So पूरा का पूरा 10 rupee वाला equity share I'll have to reduce it. Liability always have a credit balance. कम करना है, so now I will debit. बढ़ाना है तो I will credit. कम करना है तो debit. Let me finish the entry. So what I'll do? This entire equity share of 10 rupees will go off. I will debit. So equity share capital account debit 5 lakh. Equity share capital account debit 5 lakhs. Brackets में you will write 10. Why 10? That means this is the equity share capital having a face value of rupees 10 each. This is the equity share capital having face value of 10 each. So equity share capital account debit 5 lakh, brackets में 10. Now see, 10 rupees का शेयर को 7 करना है. पूरा 10 rupees का लायबिलिटी रिड्यूस नहीं हुआ है. 10 rupees का liability reduce करके we are making it as 7 each. Now what I told you, equity share always has a credit balance. If I want to add, I will further credit. If I want to reduce, I will debit. 10 rupees को reduce करना था, पूरा का पूरा debit कर दिया. Now I will create a liability of 7 rupees. So what I'll do now, I will credit equity share capital by 7 rupees. I will credit equity share capital by the revised value, that is 7. Now see what will be the amount. 5 lakh एक शेयर 10 रुपए का, 5 लाख डिवाइड बाई 10, हाउ मेनी शेयर्स? 50,000. सो ये मेरा हो जाएगा 50,000 into 7, that is 3,50,000. Getting it? So now see, जो ओरिजिनल लायबिलिटी 5 लाख था, now the revised liability has become 350. 10 रुपए का शेयर को 7 रुपया किया. सो कंपनी का फायदा कितना हुआ? जहां where they were supposed to pay 5 lakh, now they have to pay only 350. So 5 lakh minus 350, 1,50,000, or other way around, 50,000 into 3, 1,50,000. This is their gain. This is their gain. That is income for the company. Now the question is, where you will put this 150? Now the question is, where you will put this 150? This 150 is an income of the company, and that income has arisen because of reduction in liability. What was the alternate name of the chapter? Capital reduction. So this 1,50,000 will be credited to capital reduction. So this 1,50,000 you will credit capital reduction. Getting it? This 1,50,000 you will credit capital reduction. So now the thing is, 5 lakh का liability eliminate हो गया, उसके सामने revised liability हुआ 350. From the company's point of view, 1,50,000 का gain, and that gain goes to a separate account called as capital reduction. That gain goes to a separate account called as capital reduction. So in short, as per adjustment number 1, after approaching the equity shareholders, company has saved 1,50,000 and credited the gain to capital reduction. I have to apply this approach for the 4 transactions. Then when I come to the 5th one, very interesting point will come. I hope it is clear. If not clear, this video is open on YouTube. Those who are with me watching on the app, you can rewind forward on YouTube as well as on the app. Okay? Narration. We'll make it very simple. I'm just making very simple for this particular. Being equity shares of rupees 10 each reduced to rupees 7 each. Being equity share of rupees 10 each reduced to rupees 7 each. Getting it? Clear with this, guys? Let me go step by step. Understand the entry of each and every transaction mentioned here. You will get the concept. Confusion है? Video pause कर दो, बाद में rewind कर लो and come back again. Got it? चलो. Now, coming to the next one. Second transaction. Same date, 1st April 24. Now guys, listen up. As I told you, the word to and by makes a difference. What is the second adjustment? Preference shares to be reduced by rupees 20. यहां पे 2 था, यहां पे by. इसका मतलब ये है, एक प्रेफरेंस शेयर 100 रुपए का है. The face value of one preference share is 100. Now I am reducing by 20. That means 100 को मैं 20 रुपीस कम कर रहा हूं. It is 80. यहां पे क्या था? I reduced to 7. My new value is 7. यहां पे by 20. So the new value becomes 100 minus 20, that is 80. अगर ये word by की जगह 2 होता ना, I would have taken it as 20. but reduced by 20 means 100 में से 20 minus करके I'll make it 80. Now the same thing. How I did? First original share of 10 each पूरा का पूरा डेबिट किया इक्विटी शेयर्स. सेम वे प्रेफरेंस शेयर जो 100 रुपीज है आई विल डेबिट पूरा का पूरा. वाई डेबिट? लायबिलिटीज हैव अ क्रेडिट बैलेंस. उसको बढ़ाना है तो आई क्रेडिट फर्दर, कम करना है तो आई विल डेबिट. सो फर्स्ट आई रिड्यूस दिस, आई वाइप ऑफ दिस, सो आई डेबिट पूरा का पूरा प्रेफरेंस शेयर. सो माई एंट्री विल बी preference share capital account debit, that is 3 lakh, put in brackets the face value 100. Got it? Put in brackets the face value, that is 100. Now what I am doing? Reduced by 20. Again I am repeating, don't get confused by the word to and by. दोनों का इफेक्ट अलग है. 2 means this is the new value. By means 100 में से 20 करो minus, so the new value is 80. So can I say my preference share का revised value will be 80? So what you will do? 2, again I will credit preference share capital by the new value. So 2 preference share capital account brackets में I will write 80. Why 80? Because this is the revised value. अभी देखो 3 lakh का अमाउंट, 1 share of 100 each. 3 lakh का अमाउंट, 1 share of 100 each. So 3 lakh divided by 100, that is 300. 3 lakh divided by 100, that is 3000. So the number of preference shares are 3000. So जो 3000 shares थे 100 each, now it becomes 3000 shares of 80 each. So 3000 into 80, my revised preference share capital का amount is 2,40,000. So 2 preference share capital account 2,40,000. So ये जो 100 rupees है पूरा का पूरा wipe off, and now 100 rupees I will create 80. So 2 preference share capital 3,000 into 80, that is 2,40,000. So जो 3 lakhs की liability थी, now that has been revised to 240. जहां मुझे 3 lakh पे करना था, now I will pay 240. So from the company's point of view, there is a gain of 60,000. From the company's point of view, there is a gain of 60,000. And why is this gain? Because you have reduced the capital, you have reduced the liability. Therefore, this same like here will be credited to capital reduction. So to capital reduction account 60,000. Getting it? ऊपर इक्विटी शेयर 5 लाख को 350 किया, 150 का गेन. प्रेफरेंस शेयर 3 लाख को 240 किया, 60 का गेन. So that gain goes to capital reduction. Keep this in mind. For this particular chapter, any income, any expense will be adjusted in capital reduction. Income है तो credit capital reduction, expense है तो debit capital reduction. Other things are there, but we are not getting into that at this particular stage. Got it? Narration, I'll make it simple like the earlier transaction. Being preference shares of rupees 100 each reduced to 80 each. being preference shares of 100 each reduced to 80 each. Got it? So यहाँ पे the company gained 150, यहाँ पे the company gained 60. Let's see the gain in the third and the fourth adjustment and then we will see ये जो gain create किया है कैसे adjust करेंगे. Hope it is clear. Again I am repeating, नहीं clear है rewind करो, see it again and then come back. चलो. Now the third one. Debenture holders agreed to sacrifice 25% of their claims. Debenture holders agree to sacrifice 25% of their claims. Now see, यहाँ पे the face value is not mentioned and 8% debentures है. They have not given you the revised rate of interest. आगे जाके there will be a situation this 8% can become 6%, 9%, 7%. That is not given. So what we will do is यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया, debited the old face value, credited the new face value. Debited the old face value, credited. अच्छा, one more thing, यहाँ पे भी there is a variation. Face value remains same. उसका entry अलग आएगा. I am not getting into that. That you will see in the regular lecture. I don't want to create any confusion as far as the first class is concerned. Okay, so debentures में नया face value नहीं दिया है, revised rate नहीं दिया है. So what I'll do, we will not do what we have done for the first two entries. Now we will see only the reduction in the liability. That means we don't have to see the revised liability and debit and credit again. Okay, चलो. Sacrifice 25% of their claims. कितना है मेरा debentures? My existing value of debentures before internal reconstruction is 2 lakhs. They are sacrificing 25%. 2 lakh का 25% is 50,000. 2 lakh का 25% is 50,000. So debentures will be reduced by 50,000. Now, as I told you, I don't have to debit 2 lakh. I will just debit the reduction. Liability always have a credit balance. I want to reduce, I will debit. If I want to add, I will credit. So now मुझे सिर्फ reduce करना है. So what I will do is, I will debit 8% debentures. I will debit 8% debentures. I will show the calculation in brackets for your understanding. 2 lakh का 25%, that is 50,000. 2 lakh का 25%, that is 50,000. So I debit debentures by 50. Again I am repeating why I debit. Liabilities always have a credit balance. If I want to reduce, I will debit. If I want to increase, I will credit. यहाँ पे मैं reduce कर रहा हूँ, so I debit debentures by 50,000. So what I'll do now, this is the gain. So this gain straight away I will credit capital reduction. So to capital reduction account, that is 50,000. To capital reduction account, that is 50,000. Got it guys? So see, यहाँ पे कंपनी ने 150 का गेन क्रिएट किया, यहाँ पे कंपनी ने 60 का गेन क्रिएट किया, यहाँ पे कंपनी ने 50 का गेन किया. ओके, नरेशन making it very simple, being 25% of liability sacrificed by debenture holders, being 25% of liability sacrificed by debenture holders. Don't bother much about narration. Narration ऊपर नीचे हुआ चलेगा. Okay? Main thing is your entry should be proper. Narration ऊपर नीचे हुआ, that's fine. Don't bother much. Got it? So, equity shareholders cooperated, we gained 150. Preference shareholders cooperated, we gained 60. Debenture holders cooperated, we gained 50,000. Now we approach the last stakeholder, that is creditors. What creditors have done? Creditors agreed to sacrifice 20,000. Creditors has cooperated and agreed to sacrifice 20. That means जहां उनको 1 लाख देना है, they says okay, we reduce 20,000. क्रेडिटर्स में तो कोई फेस वैल्यू होता नहीं है. अगेन creditors is a liability. Liabilities always have a credit balance. I want to reduce it, so I will debit. So 1st April 24, I will debit creditors. So creditors account debit. How much they are sacrificing? 20,000. So I will debit creditors by 20,000, and they have agreed to reduce the liability. For me, it is a gain. So that I will credit capital reduction. So to capital reduction account, that is 20,000. Getting it? So यहाँ पे और 20,000 का saving in liability, that is a gain for me. Okay? Narration being amount sacrificed by creditors. As I told you, we will keep it very simple. Being amount sacrificed by creditors. Got it? So 4 transactions done. Equity shareholder 150 का gain. Preference share, I am again repeating. Preference shareholder 60 का gain. Debenture holders से 50 का gain and creditors से 20 का gain. Got it? There were 4 adjustments. We have recorded transactions for all 4 of them. सम खत्म नहीं हुआ, अभी पिक्चर बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. क्यों बाकी है? ये सब किया, क्यों किया? ये सब किया, क्यों किया? इसके लिए किया बिकॉज हम कर रहे हैं इंटरनल रिकंस्ट्रक्शन. We are undergoing the process of internal reconstructions where our main object, our main motive is to revive the company from losses. Main motive is to revive the company from losses. So लॉस कैसे मैं रिड्यूस करूंगा? ये सब मैंने किया है टू रिड्यूस द लॉस. कैसे? नाउ अंडरस्टैंड गाइस. नाउ आई एम गेटिंग इनटू मेन पॉइंट. मेन पॉइंट मतलब यही मेन पॉइंट, ये भी मेन पॉइंट ही था, बट नाउ द पर्पस ऑफ डूइंग ऑल दिस. लिसन नाउ. कितना गेन क्रिएट किया? 150. कितना गेन क्रिएट किया यहां पे? 60. कितना गेन क्रिएट किया यहां पे? 50,000. और यहां पे कितना गेन क्रिएट किया मैंने? 20,000. ओके. गेन ऑफ 150 gain of 60, gain of 50 and gain of 20,000. टोटल कितना हुआ? 150 plus 60, 210, 210 plus 50, 260, 260 plus 20, 280, 70, 130, 280. So what I have done, I have created a gain of 280, 70, 60, 110. मैंने 280 का गेन क्रिएट किया है. मैंने 280 का गेन क्रिएट किया है. नाउ क्यों क्रिएट किया है? बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट टू रिवाइव द कंपनी. लास्ट एंट्री same day 1st April 24. Understand what I told you? This 180 is an indication. This 180 is an indication that the company is going into losses. हमें ये 180 को वाइप ऑफ करना है. सो उसके लिए हमने 280 का गेन क्रिएट किया. नाउ गाइस सी, I credited capital deduction. So at this stage, can I say my capital deduction is credited by 280? Now यही gain हमें use करना है. We have to utilize to wipe off the losses. So what I'll do the next step, I have credited capital deduction by here till 280. Now use it by debiting. So now what will happen? I will debit capital reduction by 280. I will debit capital reduction by 280. So first 4 entries में total 280 का credit, last entry में 280 का debit. Credit 280, debit 280. So capital reduction gets eliminated by 280. So when I make the balance sheet, capital reduction will be out, because something will come in the balance sheet only when there is a balance, either debit or credit. 280 का credit यहाँ तक, 280 का debit, credit debit, so capital reduction का balance is out. Got it? So I debit capital reduction by 280. क्या बोला मैंने? Again and again I've repeated 5 to 6 times. Liabilities always have a credit balance. Increase credit further, reduce debit. Now come to the asset side. Assets always have a debit balance. Assets always have a debit balance. क्या करना है? Assets always have a debit balance. कम करना है, do the opposite, credit. इंक्रीज करना है, डेबिट. लायबिलिटी में क्या करते थे? क्रेडिट ऐड करना है, फर्दर क्रेडिट, लेस करना है डेबिट. वाइस वर्सा फॉर एसेट्स. एसेट्स ऑलवेज हैव अ डेबिट बैलेंस. इंक्रीज करना है, ऐड फर्दर, डेबिट फर्दर. रिड्यूस करना है, क्रेडिट, by doing the opposite. Okay, so P&L is on the asset side. It has a debit balance. ये 180 का लॉस है, मैं वाइप ऑफ करूंगा, कर सकता हूं. कैसे? बिकॉज उसको वाइप ऑफ करने के लिए मैंने 280 का गेन क्रिएट किया है. गेटिंग इट? नाउ आई कम टू द मेन पिक्चर. सो अगेंस्ट दिस गेन ऑफ 280, फर्स्ट वाइप ऑफ द लॉस ऑफ 180. सो वो जो P&L है 180 accumulated loss, एसेट साइड पे है, डेबिट बैलेंस. I'll remove it by crediting. So to profit and loss account, that is 180. So 280 में से 180 I have credited P&L. So now what happens after passing this entry? this 180 will be out. I'll focus on that when I make the balance sheet. This 180 will be out. I'll focus on that when I make the balance sheet. Got it guys? Now listen. 280 क्रिएट किया, 280 क्रिएट किया, उसमें से 180 यूज किया. So 280 minus 180, 1 lakh हुआ. Still there is a balance of 1 lakh. What should I do? Now see, profit and loss, accumulated loss. It is called as fictitious assets. You all know, you all have done last year in management accounting also. Other examples of fictitious asset, take P&L debit, underwriting commission, then you have discount on issue of shares and debentures, okay, share issue expenses. Can you see any other fictitious asset? मैंने ये सब में एक ही रखा है. If there was discount on issue of shares, debentures, underwriting commission, share issue expenses, all those preliminary expenses to the extent not written off, all those come as fictitious. If there would have been any discount on issue of shares or debentures, preliminary expenses, underwriting commission, then those also I would have written off. Whether information there or no, सबसे पहले I have to write off all fictitious asset. Whether information there or no, सबसे पहले I have to write off fictitious asset. यहाँ पे एक ही asset है, fictitious P&L, I have written off that. Getting it? और कोई fictitious asset नहीं है. Now guys, understand. After writing off fictitious asset, just see, do you have any intangible asset? अगर तुम्हारे पास intangible asset है तो उसको भी write off करो, but you will write off intangible asset only after you have written off all the fictitious assets. जब तक सब fictitious asset write off नहीं होगा, you cannot touch intangible. सबसे पहले fictitious. As I told you, there is only one P&L which is out. Now, और कोई भी fictitious asset नहीं है. Now see whether there is any intangible assets. You all know goodwill is an intangible. Yes. What is goodwill? Reputation of the company. But तुम्हारा यहाँ पे accumulated loss है, so थोड़ा तुम्हारा reputation पे effect आएगा. So because you have written off all fictitious asset, there is intangible asset, उसको भी write off कर दो. हम losses में गए हैं, हम internal reconstruction के लिए जा रहे हैं, हमारा reputation खराब हुआ है, goodwill को हटा दो. आगे जाके जब भी reputation वापस अच्छा होगा, we will see later on. But right now, goodwill is a reputation of business. We have lost our reputation. Intangible assets को write off कर दो. So, 2, same thing. Goodwill is an asset. Assets always have a debit balance. बढ़ाना है, add करो, घटाना है, reduce करना है, तो minus करो. So, goodwill is an asset having debit balance. उसको निकालना है तो remove it. So, to goodwill account, that is 20,000. To goodwill account, that is 20. Now see, after writing of goodwill, अभी देखो, P&L भी गया, goodwill भी गया. Is there any specific adjustment? Sometimes the question will say, investment कम करो, fixed assets कम करो, current assets कम करो. No information, correct? कोई भी information नहीं है. Now understand. P&L fictitious पूरा write off हो गया. Goodwill intangible write off हो गया. और कुछ भी reduce नहीं करना है, because इसको fictitious and intangible को छोड़ के, other than fictitious and intangible, if there is something to be written off, then that information has to be given in the question, without which you will not do anything. So now देखो 280 का कैपिटल डिडक्शन क्रिएट किया, उसमें से 180 का पीएनएल राइट ऑफ किया, 20 का गुडविल, 180 प्लस 20 कितना हो गया 2 लाख। सो 280 में से 2 लाख गया, बचा कितना 80। I still have a balance of 80,000. So 280 minus 2 lakh, still 80,000 का balance is there. Now ये 80 क्या है, 280 का गेन, उसमें से 180 and 20 for P&L and goodwill adjusted. So after writing off intangible and fictitious, I still have a balance of 80. This 80 is my capital profit, and all capital profits you all have done in SY also. You all know this account. Capital profits will always be credited to which account? लिख रहा हूं, you all know that word very well. Capital profits will be transferred to capital reserve. So ये जो 80,000 का profit है, that is my capital profit, and that capital profit will be transferred to capital reserve. That capital profit will be transferred to capital reserve. So now see guys, अभी समझो पिक्चर पूरा। अक्यूमुलेटेड लॉसेस था, ये सब करके उसको राइट ऑफ कर दिया। अक्यूमुलेटेड लॉसेस था, ये सब करके उसको राइट ऑफ किया। लॉस तो हटा दिया, लॉस हटाने के बाद I created a reserve of 80. So जहां मेरा accumulated loss था, by adopting the process of internal reconstruction, loss तो मैंने पूरा हटा दिया। लॉस हटाने के बाद I created a reserve of 80,000. So when I make the revised balance sheet, under reserves and surpluses, there will be a capital reserve of 80. Guys, this is internal reconstruction. अपनी लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी को लॉसेस हटा के रिवाइव करो, that is internal reconstruction, and this is the way it has to be done. Clear guys? So this is the thing. Got it? I hope you all are finding it interesting. समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, वीडियो को रिवाइंड करो, वापस देखो। ओपन वीडियो है यूट्यूब पे, इन आवर ऐप ऑल्सो आई हैव केप्ट मोर व्यूज, जितनी बार देखना है देखो। ओके चलो, नरेशन बीइंग डेबिट बैलेंस ऑफ P&L and goodwill written off and balance transferred to capital reserve, and balance transferred to capital reserve. I'll repeat, being debit balance of P&L and goodwill written off and balance transferred to capital reserve. This is internal reconstruction. Okay, let's take the total. 5 lakh plus 3 lakh plus 50,000 plus 3 lakh, 11 lakh 50,000. So 11 lakh 50,000. So 5 lakh plus 3 lakh plus 50 plus 20. 11 lakh 50,000 is the journal ka total. Got it guys? Clear with this? So this is internal reconstruction. Understand this journal carefully. मैं इतना भी करता ना चलेगा, but why I am doing this balance sheet? Because मुझे तुमको दिखाना है, ऑलरेडी मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिया, बट इसका इफेक्ट, the effect of these transactions, what we did, the journal entries, what we passed, how it will be reflected in the revised balance sheet, I want to show you in this session only. So your concept will be much clearer and much better. You will see the post effect of this in the balance sheet. Okay. So now I come to the balance sheet. I'll just change the angle a bit and I'll just have water. I'll just halt it for a second and I'll be back. Okay guys, back to preparation of balance sheet. Now concept to समझ में आ गया. Understand how I am making the revised balance sheet. Wherever they ask you in this chapter balance sheet, you will have to do that. First of all, ये जो मैंने balance sheet बनाया, that is normal. When you prepare the revise, तुमको बनाना है as per the Companies Act का format, Schedule 3. But I am not getting into that because I want to make it very simple. Okay guys, now see. Balance sheet of ABC Limited as on 1st April 24, that is the date of reconstruction. Now first, a very important point. You all know, पहले Companies Act 1956 था, अभी Companies Act 2013 आ गया. Now you know, earlier Companies Act 1956 में it was compulsory that whenever the company goes into internal reconstruction, after reconstruction, when you make the revised balance sheet, it was compulsory to put on the right corner of the balance sheet the word and reduce. It was compulsory. Now, as per the new Companies Act, this provision के लिए the act is silent. So there is a confusion whether वो word and reduce लिखना है कि नहीं लिखना है. Now because of the silency of the act, and earlier it was compulsory, the common approach is that because the act is silent, it doesn't mention नहीं लिखना है. So it's better we write it. So I stick to the same thing. Even the authors, even the CA Institute also does. So क्या करना है? After writing the heading balance sheet, and before we make brackets में, we will write the word and reduce. And reduce. Why the word and reduce? Because if you write the word and reduce, whoever, all the stakeholders who reads this balance sheet, उनको पता चल जाएगा and reduce है मतलब this company has undergone the process of internal reconstruction. This company has undergone the process of internal reconstruction. This is the meaning of that. Got it? So always write the word and reduce. Now, before I start the balance sheet, let's see first only the journal. Is there anything जो journal में ही cancel होता और balance sheet में नहीं है? Tell me, कौन सा account है जो balance sheet में नहीं है? Capital deduction. See what I told you. 150 का credit, 160 का credit, 250 and 20. Total 280 का credit. So see, 280 का credit and 280 का debit. So can I say capital reduction goes out? Capital deduction out हो जाता है. So credit 150, credit 60, credit 50, credit of 20. 280 का credit, 280 के credit के सामने ये 280 debit हो गया. So capital reduction is out. As I told you starting में also, capital deduction will not appear in the balance sheet. Capital deduction will not appear in the balance sheet. Got it? चलो. Now let's start with this balance sheet. हम क्या करेंगे? We will compare old balance sheet with the journal. After adding or subtracting, we will put the revised figure in the new balance sheet. Let's start with the order of balance sheet. Again, I am repeating the same thing. बार बार बोलूंगा, आगे जाके भी बोलूंगा, तो ही तुमको समझ में अच्छी तरह से आएगा. क्या बोलना है मुझे या क्या समझना है तुम्हें? Liabilities always have a credit balance. बढ़ाना है, add credit मतलब credit further, कम करना है minus. Same thing. Liabilities always have a credit balance. Increase credit further, decrease debit. Vice versa. Assets always have a debit balance. Increase debit further, reduce credit. Clear with this? चलो, let's start. अभी देखो, इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल ऑफ 10 each 5 lakhs. क्या है फर्स्ट एंट्री में? पूरा डेबिट कर दिया 5 lakhs. लाइबिलिटीज क्रेडिट बैलेंस रिड्यूस डेबिट किया. सो ये इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल के बाद दिस 5 lakh इज आउट. सो ये 5 lakhs चला गया. उसके सामने there is a new liability of 7 rupee wala 350. So now what I do? Now this will be my revised equity share. So here I will take equity share capital and now it will be rupees 7 and the revised amount 350. याद रखना, when you make the main balance sheet, you have to give proper headings, number of shares, face value, but I am not getting into advanced balance sheet. I am just making it simple because मेरा main purpose ये था. This I am doing right now at this stage for additional knowledge. आगे जाके हर एक समय तुमने करना ही है, but यहाँ पे I don't want to make complications by preparing the balance sheet as per the format of schedule 3. Okay? So equity share capital 350. So देखो, जो 5 लाख का इक्विटी शेयर था अब हो गया 350 बिकॉज 150 मैंने माइनस कर दिया. सो दिस इज डन. फर्स्ट एंट्री में एवरीथिंग इज डन. वेयर आई एम टिकिंग दैट मीन्स कंसिडर्ड. प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल 100 रुपए वाला 3 लाख. लाइबिलिटीज क्रेडिट बैलेंस यहां पे मैंने डेबिट किया. सो ये प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल पूरा का पूरा आउट. सो ये 3 लाख चला गया. उसकी जगह what is the new preference share? 2,40,000 of 80 each. So this is the new one, revised one. This will now appear in the balance sheet. So preference share capital कितना अभी? rupees 80 and the revised amount 2,40,000. Correct? Preference share gone, equity gone. Debentures 2 lakhs. Debit of 50. Liability have a credit balance. Further credit, add debit reduction. 2 lakh 50 का डेबिट है. क्रेडिट बैलेंस को डेबिट किया मतलब कम करना है. सो 2 लाख का डेबिट क्रेडिट माइनस 50 का डेबिट. सो नाउ my 8% debentures का value will be 2 lakh minus 50, that is 150. अगर डिबेंचर क्रेडिट होता तो मैं 50 ऐड करता था. ये डेबिट है, इसके लिए माइनस. डिबेंचर डन. क्रेडिटर्स सेम लॉजिक. लाइबिलिटीज हैव अ क्रेडिट बैलेंस. 1 लाख का क्रेडिट, उसमें से 20 डेबिट. सो 1 लाख minus 20, that means 80. So creditors is out and now out to the extent of 20. Now 1 lakh का creditors हो गया 80. Got it? Now listen. See the journal. Is there any liability or a reserve which is not in the balance sheet but there in the journal? Yes. देखो capital reserve create किया है. So capital reserve is a reserve which will appear here. Sorry मैंने space कम छोड़ा है. So यहाँ पे आएगा capital reserve 20,000. Reserve is a liability. Liability always have a credit balance. यहाँ पे नहीं है but यहाँ पे मैंने credit किया तो sorry 80,000. So capital reserve of 80,000. This is an indication that हमारे पास profit आ गया. Got it? Anything else? No. चलो come to the asset side. Fixed assets 5 lakhs. Can you see any entry में fixed asset? कुछ भी नहीं है. 5 lakh था, no entry. So 5 lakh remains 5 lakh. So asset side पे आओ. Fixed asset remains the same, that is 5 lakh. Goodwill. Again वापस repeat करूंगा. बोलेगे सर ज्यादा पगार है. Assets always have a debit balance. If I debit further means add. If I credit minus. Goodwill 20 का debit, उसके सामने मैंने 20 credit किया. Goodwill out. Debit balance of 20, credit of 20, goodwill out. Investments. 1 lakh. Can you see in the journal investments? No. So 1 lakh remains 1 lakh, same as fixed assets. So investments will remain as it is, that is 1 lakh. हो गया? Fixed asset भी done. Current assets. Can you see any current assets? No. So current assets also remains the same, that is 3 lakh. Current assets also remains the same, that is 3 lakh. Next, P&L. Debit of 180. भाई ये तो लॉस था. हम ये सब कर क्यों रहे हैं? Why we are doing all this? We are doing all this because हमें इसको हटाना है, तो हम इसको हटा रहे हैं. Debit of 180, credit of 180, P&L is also out. So P&L पूरा out आएगा ही नहीं. Got it? So that's it. Now see balance sheet. 350 plus 240 plus 80 plus 150 plus 80, 9 lakh. Asset side पे देखो 5 plus 1 6, 6 plus 3 9 lakh. So this is my revised balance sheet as after internal reconstruction. देखो 180 का लॉस तो बाहर हो गया, उसके सामने हमने कैपिटल रिजर्व क्रिएट किया. सो लॉस को हटा के हम प्रॉफिट में आ गए. क्यों आए भाई? इन लोगों की मेहरबानी. इन्होंने कॉपरेट किया बिकॉज दे आर द स्टेक होल्डर्स. स्टेक होल्डर्स क्या होता है? जिसका कंपनी के साथ कुछ ना कुछ रिलेशन होता है. दे आर कनेक्टेड विद द कंपनी इन सम और द अदर वे, either equity shareholders or preference shareholders or debenture holders or creditors. Got it? So guys, this was the process of internal reconstruction. मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा जोश में था ना, because ये मेरा favorite chapter है. This is one of my favorite chapter of degree college. I love this chapter right from the day when I was a student and no doubt when I was studying CA also. But ठीक है, ये चैप्टर पसंद है तो पसंद है. आई रियली लाइक दिस चैप्टर. दैट इज द रीजन आई ऑलवेज मेक इट मोर इंटरेस्टिंग. ऑफ कोर्स आई मेक ऑल द चैप्टर्स इंटरेस्टिंग, बट यू नो इट्स वेरी बेसिक ना. तुम लोग बच्चे तो नहीं हो. जो चैप्टर मुझे दिल से अच्छा लगता है एक्सप्लेन करने के टाइम पे उसका जोश थोड़ा बढ़ जाता है. दैट इज ऑल. गॉट इट? सो आई होप यू ऑल गॉट इट वेरी नाइसली एंड आई होप जो मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बोला यू विल टीच योर फ्रेंड्स. ओके, सिखाना, समझ लो बराबर ये लेक्चर, उसके बाद पूरा चैप्टर समझ लेना, कुछ भी डाउट्स रहेगा मुझे पूछ लेना, समझ में नहीं आया तो, एंड देन explain it to others. So I hope you all have liked this session and you all have found it very interesting. सुना होगा अरे टफ है, आई होप तुम्हारे दिमाग में से निकल जाएगा. That's it guys, I wind up the session here. Hope you all like it. Again I am repeating, नहीं समझ में आया जितनी बार चाहिए उतनी बार देखो, रिवाइंड फॉरवर्ड करके देखो, यूट्यूब पे भी ये ओपन है. और उसके बाद सी माई रेगुलर लेक्चर्स, दोज हु आर विद मी, जिन्हें मेरे से पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ना है, कनेक्ट विथ मी. फोन नंबर्स यूट्यूब के प्रोफाइल में, चैनल में ऑलरेडी मेरे लिखे हुए हैं. That's it guys, I wind up the session here. Regular students who are doing with me, see you all in the next class. That's it. Take care guys.